Ever catch yourself staring at your phone after sending money internationally? Like, where is it? What's taking so long? Or maybe hitting refresh on your online banking like it's a magic button.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there. It's like sending a message in a bottle sometimes.
Right. Today's deep dive is all about what's happening behind the digital curtain. A revolution aiming to make moving money around the world as smooth as, well, I was going to say a tap on your phone, but that feels a bit cliche, doesn't it?
It does. But you're onto something. That seamless experience is exactly what this is all about.
Exactly. Buckle up, folks, because we're talking ISO 2022.
Now, before anyone tunes out thinking, ISO what now? Stick with us. This isn't as dry as it sounds.
It's way more interesting than it sounds. Think of ISO 2022 as, how do I put this? It's like trying to get everyone in the world of finance speaking the same language.
Precisely. A universal language for financial messages, if you will. It's about creating a standardized way for banks, businesses, you name it, to all communicate without any, well, hiccups.
Because right now, it's kind of a mess, isn't it?
You could say that. It's a jumble out there. We're talking Swift, Fix, XML, a whole alphabet soup of different formats, MDDL, FinXML, VRXML. Imagine trying to have a conversation when everyone's speaking a different dialect. That's essentially the problem ISO 2022 aims to solve.
It's like trying to build a house where everyone's working from different blueprints, using completely different tools. Chaos.
An excellent analogy. And that chaos leads to errors, delays, and a whole lot of frustration for everyone.
So instead of having a million financial dialects, ISO 2022 wants everyone fluent in one universal language. Ambitious.
Ambitious, but essential. And it's not just about the tech either. While ISO 2022 provides that standardized format for communication, what's really interesting is how deep it goes. It's structured in 8 parts, and it actually digs into streamlining business processes as well.
So it's not just slapping a universal translator on top of the existing mess. It's about rethinking the entire process of how financial information is exchanged.
Now you're getting it. It's less about patching up the old and more about creating a whole new infrastructure for the future.
A future where things just work. Imagine that. Okay, faster payments, fewer errors, smoother transactions. I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel here. But for those of us who don't speak finance, paint a picture for me. How would this impact, say, my everyday life?
Well, think back to that international money transfer example. Right now, it can feel like sending a carrier pigeon, right? Weeks, sometimes.
Don't even get me started. And don't forget the fees.
Exactly. With ISO 2022, that whole process could become practically instantaneous. Imagine sending money to, I don't know, a friend in Europe, and it's in their account in seconds.
Okay, now you're just making me impatient for the future. But seriously, that would be huge, especially for folks who rely on remittances or need to make time-sensitive payments. Is it really just about speed, though?
It's about speed, but it's also about the richness of the information being sent. Think of it like this. ISO 2022 is less like sending a postcard and more like sending a detailed letter. With traditional systems, you get the bare minimum, but ISO can carry so much more data.
Give me an example.
Think about when you're shopping online. Right now, your payment details are going through. But imagine a system that also knows your loyalty program, your preferred delivery time, everything all at once. That's the level of detail ISO 2022 brings to the table.
So it's not just moving money faster, it's moving it smarter. Okay, I can see how this would be huge for businesses.
Absolutely. Smoother supply chains, real-time access to working capital. Imagine the possibilities.
No more waiting for invoices to clear, payments stuck in limbo.
Exactly. And because this is built for a globalized world, it could be a game changer for cross-border trade and investment too.
Okay, let's be real for a second though. This all sounds incredibly promising, but are there any downsides or challenges? I mean, getting everyone on the same page with a single standard? That can't be easy.
Right, it's a massive undertaking. It's like, convincing every country to adopt a single currency. It's a huge task that requires incredible coordination and a shared vision from everyone involved.
You're talking about getting countless banks, businesses, the whole financial world, basically, to migrate from systems they've probably been using for decades.
Right, and that means investment, overcoming inertia, not to mention the technical hurdles. We're talking about data security, privacy, and a much more interconnected system. It's a challenge for sure.
So it's not as simple as flipping a switch and suddenly everyone's speaking ISO 2022.
Not quite. Think of it more like building bridges. It's a gradual process.
So we're talking about a slow and steady transition, not a complete overnight overhaul.
That's the idea. And what's really cool is that ISO 2022 is designed for coexistence. Even as we're building those bridges, it can act as that, like a universal adapter, letting all these different systems communicate with each other during the transition.
That makes sense. It's like we're laying down new tracks while the train's still running, carefully switching over the cars one by one.
Exactly. And while it might be a while before we're all speaking ISO 2022 fluently in the financial world, what's really exciting is what this transition represents.
You mean beyond just like getting our payments to go through faster? We've covered the practical stuff. What's the bigger picture here?
The bigger picture is that this shift could pave the way for a much more inclusive and interconnected global financial system.
Okay, now you've got my attention. How so?
Well, imagine a world where your geographical location doesn't really matter when it comes to finance.
You mean like no more borders? At least when it comes to money.
Exactly. Small businesses, entrepreneurs, anyone really, could easily connect with customers and suppliers anywhere in the world. Payments could flow smoothly across borders, opening up opportunities that might have seemed impossible before.
It's like breaking down those barriers that have always existed because of where you happen to be in the world.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Leveling the playing field, creating a truly global marketplace. That's the potential here.
That's huge, and I imagine all this new interconnectedness could lead to some pretty exciting innovation as well.
Absolutely. With a more standardized and data-rich financial system, who knows what we can see? New financial products and services tailored to very specific needs, even entirely new business models.
So the next time I'm sending money to, I don't know, my niece in Japan for her birthday, I can imagine it's not just a transfer, it's a small part of this much larger shift toward a more connected financial world.
I love that way of looking at it.
It's like ISO 2022 is working behind the scenes to, I don't know, weave everything together. It's not exactly glamorous, but it's pretty powerful stuff.
Quietly changing the world, one transaction at a time.
And that's a wrap on today's deep dive into the world of ISO 2022. Hopefully you're walking away with a better understanding of not just what it is, but why it matters.
Because even though we don't always see it, this kind of behind-the-scenes change really does have the power to reshape the future of finance, making it more efficient, more accessible, and hopefully more inclusive for everyone.
It's definitely given us a lot to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and be sure to tune in next time as we explore another fascinating facet of the financial world.